Huh. It must be my lucky day. A lucky coin. I know just what to do with this. Come on, lucky coin, work! No! Come on, lucky coin. It's supposed to be my lucky day.
Happy monstering and welcome to My Singing Monsters Live, your one-stop shop for everything to do with My Singing Monsters. We are your hosts, Monster Handler Matt and
Hey, Monster Handler Matt.
Tyson. Hello,
Hey, everyone.
Tyson. Hey, why the long face? What's the problem? Why are you
I
sad?
was just at the vending machine. I wanted to get, because I found a lucky coin and it was my lucky day, but it just wasn't working. And then the monsters got all mad at me, so they kicked me out. So
Wow,
sorry.
it sounds like you've been through quite a lot.
Very
today
unlucky,
already.
very unlucky day, which it's weird because it's a pretty lucky day because
It's
Cloverspell!
Yes, it's the first ever Cloverspell being celebrated starting today in the monster world. And whereas Monster Handler Tyson may have been struck with some bad luck here in the human
Yeah.
world, there's nothing but good luck coursing through, and good vibes too, coursing through the monster world as we speak.
For sure.
Welcome to our March 2023 episode. We've got lots of exciting stuff planned for you today. As per usual, we'll be discussing all the exciting updates that went out today. We'll be answering some questions, not quick questions, mind you.
No,
Tyson's-
that's my thing.
That's the
That's my
province of
thing.
Tyson. That's the province of Tyson.
Gosh.
We'll be doing a creator showcase.
Creator showcase, yeah.
We'll be. What else will we be doing? All sorts of stuff.
All sorts of stuff. So stay tuned.
Yes, it's very, very exciting. Now you may notice that Tyson is the one wearing the pith helmet today. I've got it here just in case during questions I need to refer to it. But strictly speaking,
Okay.
the fact that the Tyson, my good colleague Tyson here, exposed the fact that our portal indicating teleporter helmets.
Yes, or pith hats.
Or pith helmets. Yeah, or I guess it's not. The H is not helmet.
It's pith.
Pith hat. Well, you know what? We'll call them pith hats.
Pith hats. Okay.
The fact that the pith hat contains all of that tech
Yes.
that allows us to journey or to open wormholes to and from the monster world has me kind of anxious. Do you know why it has me anxious?
Well, do tell.
Well, because I don't particularly want to be performing any more pranks on me, especially
Right.
after it was particularly naughty
Yes.
last month and making all sorts of fun of my hair, which is why I figured I would get a haircut just in time for today's
I
My
was
Singing
just going to
Monsters
say,
Live.
you're looking pretty dapper today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But I figured that I would go hatless today, just
Safe bet.
just to play down the possibilities of hijinks.
Yes,
Right?
no, that is a safe bet. And again, we've theorized that they've tapped into the power of the
So, yes.
device. So, and, you know, there's potential that they
Yeah, I just, you know what?
come from the hat as well.
I touched my mic. I would feel more comfortable just sort of going hatless for the episode.
Okay.
I hope you don't mind. So here we are.
Okay.
Okay,
Beautiful.
so Cloverspell. This
Yes.
is very exciting. As predicted by so many members of our
Yes,
community,
yes.
it has in fact come to Fairy Island, as so many predicted. A perfect spot for
I'd
a
say so.
celebration of its ilk, I would
I'd
say.
say so, yes.
And
we've done a callback to when Fairy Island was revealed.
That's right.
With a
that's
storybook-esque story.
Yes, if you were a My Singing Monsters fan, a handler helper all the way back when in 2019, you would have seen that then. But now your patience has been rewarded with a brand new update to Fairy Island and Cloverspell. So Fiddle is available, of course, to buy or breed at level 9 for a limited time on the following islands: on Fairy Island, then of course as part of every seasonal event. That monsters are available for a limited time on. They're also discounted on seasonal shanty.
Yes, yes.
But that's not, of course, the only thing that's exciting about Cloverspell is Fiddle's arrival.
Well,
there's the brand new seasonal island skin.
When there's a new seasonal skin.
That's how it works. And with this skin, which of course can be activated on a trial basis for the duration of Cloverspell, you are entitled to some awesome boosts.
Yes.
These boosts include 10% faster breeding. That ought to be handy if you're trying to add Fiddle or any number of other limited time monsters to your island.
Yes, yes, yes.
And of course, there's also 10% faster baking on the island as well. And you know, it's important in times like this to stay well nourished.
Yes, exactly. Well, Fiddle's been on a big journey.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, Fiddle's Fantastical Foray. You know what I really liked about Fiddle's Fantastical Foray, and this has a lot to do with the storytelling prowess of Monster and the Tyson, is that it's a storybook that sort of calls back to other various famous fairy tales from the human world.
Now, can you name some of the fairy tales?
You know what? It doesn't matter if I can name them because I know them.
You do.
I think we should. Yes. Can you? Which fairy tales did you see called back to in Fiddle's Fantastical Foray? Leave a comment on the video, or even here live in the chat on this particular episode of My Singing Monsters Live.
There are 3 that we specifically reference, but
yes. And I top points to anyone who can get all 3.
Yes, and no, it is not Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. People
were saying that.
People are guessing that when they're gliding down in their clover.
Well, the wind glider. I mean, that was a great part. I loved gliding down the clover. Okay,
no.
but back to the action. Back to the action. Okay, where were we? Yes, we were taking a look at the beautiful Cloverspell Island skin. There are also Cloverspell-themed Fairy Island obstacle decorations locked in their seasonal appearance.
Yes.
Now, what's particularly cool about this is that it's an opportunity to add some new lore to the monster world. So, in the case of the trees, they have become these trefoil trees, which, you know, clovers in the human world are you know, a low to the ground kind of like, not a grass, but like, you know,
I don't even know.
I should have looked this up.
You know what?
I don't even know what kind
we
of
don't
plant they
know.
are. Someone told me what kind of plant a clover is. But in the monster world, there are these beautiful trefoil trees on which gigantic clovers can blossom. And of course, all of these clovers are 4-leaved as opposed to 3. So they're extra lucky boosted.
Yes.
And the rocks, of course, the regular Fairy Island obstacle appearance is that of rocks that have the semblance of like a troll or a gnome or a sprite, and now the magic of Cloverspell has incited them to sort of shake off, you know, their immobility and to sort of flex out and strike a pose.
Yes, you can see their features a little
exactly,
better.
they're a little bit clearer. The troll, the gnome, and the sprite in their Cloverspell-themed version. So those are very cool. Get those just for a limited time during Cloverspell as well. And it wouldn't be a modern seasonal event experiencing its debut on a magical island if we didn't add some dipsters.
Of course.
Along with it. So you can collect do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. All on Fairy Island for the very first time for 6 keys apiece. Sort of sensing a trend there. Of course, they were added to Bone Island for the beat hereafter. You know, hop and skip over Magical Sanctum because, you know, maybe they're coming at a later day. We got Crystalline Castles for Magical Sanctum. But here are the Dipsters making their debut on Fairy Island. And playing in the same verse as Fiddle. So I think it's a nice little moment.
No, they complement each other.
Yes, they complement each other. There's, you know, Fiddle's folk hero status from its Fantastical Foray and the Dipster debut.
And they did kind of take their spotlight, though, at the end.
Very much so.
When Fiddle went through a huge adventure and then the Dipsters kind of show
and
up.
we're here too.
Then we're here too.
Yes, but you know what? We got to give them their due.
Exactly.
Or their dough. as the case may be. Yeah, there you go. Bad pun. All right, they're the dipsters, and of course, this was alluded to.
Yes,
it has been alluded to for a few months now. But yes, since it's the month of cold, the Cold Island Conundrum has arrived, the second in the Colossal Conundra series. Now, not only is the Cold Island Conundrum available for the very first time, but we've done a pretty extensive overhaul of the Colossal Conundra system itself.
I was just going to ask, there might be some changes that we...
There are some changes. So, before, when you would complete a Colossal Conundrum, that's when you would get the Colossi structure. So we've made a change. Now you get the Colossi structure at the beginning of the Conundrum. It's in like a broken down state.
Right.
And bit by bit, as you assemble more and more pieces of the Conundrum and you receive those daily pieces and rewards for just for playing the game.
Yeah.
You bit by bit sort of refurbish, you renovate, you restore the Colossi into a form that is more recognizable to us. And then, obviously, when you get to the end of the Conundrum, then you'll have an opportunity to awaken the Cold Island Colossal.
Now, they do say that you sleep better when you're cold. So do you think this Colossal is sleeping extra sleepy?
I think they've been having the best sleep of their life.
Beautiful. For millennia.
Yes, it's like a perpetual cold side of the pillow.
Yeah,
kind of thing, right?
That's a great way to describe it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So, part of me is like sad that, it's going to be waking up, but of course, the great thing about when you activate, when you open the Colossal's eyes and it joins the song, you have the user prerogative at that time to close the eyes again if you prefer the aesthetic of the island that way.
You wouldn't be able to even enjoy a cold pillow if you weren't awake, though. So, if anything, we're rewarding them.
That's what you think, but when you're asleep, you don't know how well you're sleeping until you wake up, right?
That's true.
When you wake up, you're like, that was the best sleep of my life.
That's
it's
true.
Not like when you're asleep, you're like, I could be sleeping
No,
better.
but I'm saying when you roll over finally after a long day,
Yes.
and then you just your face hits that cold pillow, you're like,
You're saying it loses its novelty over eons of slumber.
That's what I'm saying.
That's fair. Another change that we made to the Colossal Conundra, which some of you may have noticed on the Plant Island Colossi as well, is that once you have awakened the Colossal in question, the bio of the Colossi changes.
Oh my
gosh. Changes. And
everyone is furiously going to their game right now. They're like,
going on?
What do you mean?
Yes, they're checking it out. And what's cool about it is that when a Colossi, is able to be, when its functionality is restored and it's no longer broken down and you've completed that island's conundrum, a passage from this book appears. We've talked about this book before.
Yes.
But we've given it a name.
What's the name?
The name is the Miehurikon. The Miehurikon. Think Necronomicon.
Okay.
But Miehuricha. Now I know that's I'm so sorry to do this to you, Monster and the Tyson, because I know that it's a difficult word to wrap one's mouth around. We'll keep working on it.
Okay, say it again.
Yes, the Stablo Miehuricha.
No, I was saying, okay, but...
So this is the Miehurikon.
Miehurikon.
Oh, this is a Joe
maybe I'm
Tribbiani
trying too
moment
hard,
here.
honestly.
I think you are trying too hard. I'll coach you later.
Okay,
Don't worry.
thanks.
You'll get there someday, Monster and the Tyson. But I figured since I have the Miehurikon handy here, that I would actually read from the passage that appears in game. So
nice little treat.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it in game, here's your sneak peek, and I'll do not a dramatic reading, but a solemn,
a
stoic reading of this passage.
And I'll react like.
Here we go.
I'm like someone at the campfire. Like,
yes.
Duh.
Well, okay. So before we get into this works perfectly because of course the storybook aspect of Fairy Island and Cloverspell lends itself perfectly to a little bit of story time. So here we go.
Exactly. So my reactions is everyone else's.
Are your reactions. Okay, here we go. Now, before I begin.
Okay.
I know,
Come on.
I keep teasing you here. Now, before I begin, it should be mentioned that the name of the Plant Island Colossal is too difficult for the human brain, mouth to articulate properly. So for the purposes of the bio, I'm going to need a stand-in name, and I'll get to that in just a second. But for argument's sake, let's call this Colossal Tyson.
Okay, great.
So For today's
I
name,
like that choice.
I will use the name Tyson, but I'll
Beautiful.
get to why it might not be Tyson later in a moment. Here we go.
Okay, I'll react.
In the earliest days of the monster world, Tyson sought out the cosmic being that had taken up residence among the stars arranged in the shape of a crisp leaf.
Go Tyson. Oh.
It had been ordained that this Colossal, like so many of its kindred, would serve as the musical instructor for these entities and impart upon them the majesty and magic of music.
Oh, that's awesome.
When Tyson first made contact, they were very inspired by the powerful life energy emanating from their pupil.
I sure was.
The very cosmic dust from which it was constituted could be likened to spores on the wind.
It was amazing.
Eventually, they settled together on a voice that evoked the efflorescent sounds of spring, the whisper of the wind through the reeds,
Spring.
the potential contained within each tiny seed, and a name.
What's the name? What's the name?
After reinventing itself as the celestial of plant, the Blassoon gave Tyson gifts in return. A lifelong affinity for all green things,
awesome.
a special communion with nature, and a deep connection to one of the foundational elements of the universe.
Whoa, that's deep.
So there you go. So there's your passage from the Myehurikon. Now, they're in-game, there are all sorts of blank spaces, and there's an asterisk there. And you look at the asterisk, and if you scroll to the bottom, it says, return later during anniversary year to play a part in choosing the name for the Plant Island Colossal.
Wow.
So you'll have to stay tuned, won't you? We keep dropping these exciting anniversary year surprises on you. So stick around. There may or may not be a community contest involved. Maybe.
You thought we were done at 10? No. 11's going to be crazy, too.
You betcha, you betcha. Okay.
Okay.
So, there was your passage from the Myehurikon.
Whoa.
And why don't we launch right into some questions?
Not quick questions.
Not quick questions. These are long drawn out, elaborated upon questions, courtesy of Monster Handler Math.
Now, we do have pre-selected questions, but once those are done, we ask you to have blah, 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 blah. Can you please ask us questions in the live chat, and we will be answering them live. Now, I'm just going to say this right now. We're not going to be telling you when stuff is dropping or releasing.
Why would we do that?
Because people keep saying that. If you want your answer to be, if you want your question to be answered, ask a lore question. That's more juicy, that's more enjoyable.
Yeah, we will only select questions that enrich the world of Micing Mushes. We don't want to spoil.
We don't want to spoil
the
stuff.
surprises of it.
I know everyone wants to know when the Water Island Mythical is coming out, but
I wonder. Okay.
Yes,
all right.
So,
Lay it on
starting
me.
with our pre-selected questions from D's Waffles. What do the Fire Quints think of the new MSM era?
The contemporary era. So it should be recalled, of course, that in official continuity, in the canon, all of these fire monsters found their way into the living core in time for the cataclysm that was shaking apart the continent and that formed the natural islands, right?
Right.
So even though, for example, a certain monster that we're going to be talking about later in the show today, among others, and Bowhead and Candelabra and Dromedary, even though they have been coming to the game more recently in our perception of time, these are monsters that have been around and have been active in the living core on Firehaven this whole time. So even though we haven't seen them yet, they are among the monsters that, like the surface monsters, the natural monsters, made contact with when Firehaven was rediscovered all the way back in 2018. Now, of course, on Amber Island, which we may remind you is on the higher plane, the separate sort of nirvana state of existence where you can exist in two places at once kind of thing. On Amber Island, these vessels that contain the monster essences are being taken out one by one, bits and pieces at a time. Well, actually not one by one. Now they're being taken out 4 by 4, and sometimes 5 by 5 when the Amber friendly fire promotions kick off halfway through waves. But what do they think? What do they think of the contemporary monster world? I think that they're very appreciative of the fact that the world still exists.
and
Because, well, think of all the time spent in Firehaven where you're there, you know, you're hoping against hope that everything's fine up there on the surface. It's like being in a bunker, and you're like, is it safe? Is it safe to go out yet? And so, you know, now that that contact has been restored between the fire monsters of Firehaven and the rest of the monsters on the surface, and, you know, those expeditions, those delegations of fire natural monsters, one by one, sort of went to the magical islands and met the native populations of the magic elementals. I think that they're just pretty pleased as punch that the world is still around, and you know what, and that there's still music to join in on.
Exactly.
That there hasn't been, you know, a big shift where it's a silent world now. That music still plays an important part of the monster world.
Beautiful. Now there is less technology in this era.
That's true.
So they're probably like, oh dang.
But I mean, there's different and new technologies.
You know what? Maybe
right?
with the lack of technology, they're maybe appreciating the surroundings around them more.
It's in the same way that, you know, when you're able to step away from your cell phone, you take some downtime, or, you know, when you've been scrolling on TikTok and it says you got to take a break. There's your cue. Touch some grass.
Yeah. And take some
Enjoy
breaks
yourself.
from...
Enjoy the natural world. That's a big part of the monster world, right?
Exactly.
It's the natural aspect.
Take breaks from technology. Anyway, from my laptop.
Indeed. Yes.
From Withered, I know it's been confirmed that Fiddle was a live recording as opposed to sound font. So question, what other monsters have this treatment? Any noteworthy ones?
Yes. So a lot of our monsters are built using sound fonts, as was described in the question here. It allows us to tweak them a little bit easier. It's obviously a cost saving mechanism for us as well, and it allows our composers to make those tweaks without, like, you know, hurting the feelings of or you know, modifying the performance of a human performer who supplied the sound. Now, Fiddle is one such example of one that is actually a live recording of, well, it's not played every single time. It's not being fed into the game by someone who tragically
there's
has
someone
to sit
right
there.
now playing.
Yeah. But yes, it is an actual fiddle performance that's being played. One other such example of a monster like that is the Wublin Thwack.
Oh.
The Wublin Thwack is an actual recording of a bass being plucked.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And I believe, not confident about this, but I believe some of the first generation castle bass sounds were also, like,
cool.
analogically hand played as opposed.
I have a question for you then.
Yes.
Was Seasonal Shanty and Fairy Island recorded at the same time when you recorded Fiddle's parts?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I do.
No, they were not. No, they were not.
Okay. There
Nope,
you go.
they were recorded, same performer, but recorded at different times.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Another Fiddle question. How did Fiddle keep its clover fresh? Because it doesn't look like there's any water on Seasonal Shanty.
That's the mystery of humidity, isn't it, Monster Handler Tyson?
Now, I do have a theory. If I can put my hands in the
absolutely, I have an answer, but I'd love to hear your theory
I have a theory before you confirm.
Sure, I will take this opportunity to drink some water since
now we've seen Fiddle use its clover as a parachute, so it could be a versatile thing, and maybe it uses it to surf around the Seasonal Shanty just as a fun little thing, and maybe when it's doing that, it's just refreshing the clover every time it goes for a nice little surf.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Tyson. Is the question not asking how does it stay hydrated on Fairy Island? Does it say Seasonal Shanty or Fairy Island?
Seasonal Shanty.
On Seasonal Shanty. Oh. See, I had my answer. See, reading comprehension will get you every single time.
Why don't you tell us?
Well, I think yours is a good answer. What I was going to say is, on Fairy Island, at least, you know, it's a very humid place. It's surrounded by clouds, condensated water, and also there's a lot of fungal growth, right? There's a lot of mushrooms on Fairy Island.
Right.
It goes hand in hand with sort of fairy imagery, right? You know, a fairy ring, stuff like that. So where there are mushrooms, typically there's moisture, there's humidity, and at which point, you know, there's enough sort of water on hand that can condensate that you can use to slurp it on up. But in terms of staying hydrated on Seasonal Shanty, that's a great question.
It's
a great question.
I like my theory.
I think it's a good theory. I think the other thing too is that we've established that the properties of the water of the living ocean can have some mutative effects
Yes,
potentially on beings from other dimensions. But perhaps it's just a source of drinking water for monsters. I know, the oceans of the human world tend to be very salty, not fit for consumption. You need fresh water for that. But maybe monsters, recall, these are the same animals, these are the same organisms that derive maximum nutritional value from stuff that we consider junk food. Right? Their treats are super nutritious to us. A pizza is like a treat meal for us. To them, it's like eating, your fruits and veggies.
Exactly. I'm also just remembering now, because Summer Song stuff will also be there, and I think there's coconuts with straws in them.
Yeah, you could have some, coconut milk.
Yeah, coconut milk on their clover as well. So. Who's to say on seasonal champagne?
Yes, but you know what? I like your theory, and maybe
you.
I should listen to the questions more closely.
And it's very windy around that area too, so I think like parachute down, surf up, and then parachute back up.
Well, and recall that the monster world is predominantly the living ocean.
True.
There's the water cycle. The rain, you could collect rainwater.
Exactly. That's true. So probably they have expeditions.
When it rains on the ocean, is it salty rain?
Yeah, actually, wait.
Salty rain. Anyway, I have no idea.
Next question.
Keep going.
So from Ramen Cake, is the My Singing Monster game actually what is happening in the monster world, or is it a fun way for the monster handlers to document their findings instead of using books, since some people don't like to read?
The bookworm seasonal would be affronted at the notion that anyone doesn't like to read. Reading is great. We were reading from Fiddle's Fantastical Foray. I'm reading here from the Myehurikon. But it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I would say that My Singing Monsters sort of represents our window into the monster world.
Yes.
Some aspects of it, of course, are gamified, but for the most part, there are some parts of the monster world that are only represented sort of in abstraction or representationally in the game. We've discussed the fact before that, the islands themselves are a lot larger than the scale suggests in game. Plant Island is like vast tracts of green meadows and forests and trees, whereas the scale in game, a level 15 mammoth is large enough to sort of run a lap around the edge of it, in under a minute kind of thing. So the in-game stuff is, I would say a lot of it is representational, and sort of this connects to the question at the beginning about how did the Quints feel about the contemporary era. In-game, the Quints Bowhead, and I'm not saying the name yet because it's part of a later segment. But those monsters have been around this whole time, and we're just sort of noticing them now.
And I think the same could be said for the trailers as well.
Yes.
As they can maybe be creative, kind of reconstructed.
Yeah, we're taking
scenes that we've heard as monster hunters, oh, this happened, so let's make a scene.
Exactly. It's our job to interpret them.
Or it's a mix of actual footage from the monster world.
Exactly. There's some artistic license that needs to be taken to make sure that the storytelling makes sense, to make sure that we hype. New additions to the monster world in as exciting a way as possible.
Now, these details from the monster world come from the monsters themselves sometimes, or our observations. So the moments where it comes from the monsters might be over-exaggerated sometimes.
They're monsters. They
make it entertaining.
Things,
they make it entertaining.
Embellish things a bit, perhaps.
So
good question, though.
Yeah, that's a great question. From Ramen Noodles 6925, what is the relationship between Jamboree and the candles, and do the candles have a name?
It's all the same thing.
It's all the same thing, so it's one being.
But you know what? That's one of those mysteries that I kind of feel is best left unexplored.
We don't want to look into it.
Well, just the physiology of the monster is very unusual.
We don't want to be poking Jamboree.
Are those candles, are those false eyes on them? Are those the many mouths of the Jamboree? When you know what? This is an example of when you start to think about it. This is when science hits the brakes. I know that I know that our monster handler training requires us to be curious and it requires us to learn more. As far as Jamboree is concerned, it's a sensitive issue. It's a cake.
Yeah.
It's a cake, and it's sort of best sort of like.
But you don't want to
I
like go up to it and be like, "You're a cake."
Well, exactly. I don't want to,
awkward.
I don't want to offend it, and I also
No.
don't want to spoil the mystery.
Exactly.
There's a mystery.
Because like I don't want to
Living
come
in
up
this.
to him and like, "Hey, Jamboree, can you like remove one of the candles?" And then
Yeah.
it either pops it up like, "Yeah."
We want to dissect you for scientific
No,
purposes.
I think that's
That's
rude.
a rude thing to
It's a
ask
rude thing to
anyone.
ask.
And a lot of the times, our understanding of monsters comes as a result of observing processes that don't hurt the monster in any way. They're just like natural processes that the monster undertakes.
Exactly.
But like to date, we haven't got a firm handle on exactly what's going on with Jamboree. I don't believe the candles have a name. I know that was part of it.
Right.
I've always understood that to be just like part of the whole thing.
Let's just leave Jamboree.
For now. It may come up
It may
later.
come up.
A monster handler in training in the future could devote, they could apply for some special funding and
Some Jamboree study.
Yeah, and embark upon some specific Jamboree study. Who knows?
Yes. If you want a Jamboree study, let us know.
But you have to provide the funding. That's
Yeah,
how it works.
you have to provide
This is
the
like
funding.
Jurassic Park. We need a John Hammond in here.
Exactly.
To say,
Finds a way.
Yes, no, we spared no expense. Yes, exactly.
Okay, from live questions now that Monster Handler Jen has been collecting for us.
Thank you, Monster Handler Jen.
From Pizza Man 24.
There have been 23 pizza men before them?
Yeah, I think so.
Shocking.
I mean, there's a lot of pizza getting delivered in the world.
I guess that's true.
What happens to the monster that goes into the crucible once the evolution finishes?
They're evolved.
It's the
monster.
same.
Yes, the monster that comes out is that monster.
It's not replaced by a new rare
No, it's
monster.
the same monster, which is the reason why they don't have new nicknames, because it's that same monster. Now, I know in the past, and we've talked about this before, but I know that in the past people are going, yeah, but as you introduce new characters like Rare Krillby, Rare... any of the other ones, Yelmet, Rare Flummox.
I was going to help you with that.
rare Flummox. We want to know what their suite of nicknames are. Yeah, maybe you'll find out someday. Maybe. I don't know. Bah.
That's my sound.
Yeah, not bah, but that's a whole other sound.
From Peace T Life, did the island Colossals know each other before they went to sleep?
Yes, they did.
They did.
Yes, they did. They were part of a collective, right? Like they were the group that helped form
Just a bunch of pals.
the monster world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were colleagues, they were brothers and sisters, they were co-workers, they were friends. They worked together on a collaborative project, and that collaborative project is the monster world. Now, didn't always get along. There are some strong personalities among the Colossals, and I think that that's going to be what's cool about the Colossal Conundra feature, and as we awaken these Colossals one by one, is that hopefully the different passages from the Miehurikon that are unveiled as you assemble the Conundra will shine a little bit of light on each of the individual personalities of
Colossal
some
lore,
of the
you
Colossals.
say?
Yeah. Yes, which I
Beautiful.
know is something that the people have been asking for, and with this Conundra overhaul, we wanted to just inject a little bit more of.
Exactly.
So, there you go.
All right. From Shane, the gamer kid. What game do you play, Shane?
This one, I hope.
I hope. Yeah, actually, yeah. Why does Yelmet scream? Are they scared or anything? Of anything, I mean. Yeah, of anything.
Why do they scream?
Are they scared?
The verb I'd use is yell.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not called Scaremet.
No. Or scream it.
Scream it.
There is another monster called Scream You. That's wobbling. But why does Yelmet scream? Why does it yell? That's what its sound is.
I think
that's the beauty of the monstrous language, is that it's all of these different dialects sound so distinct from another, but they're all inter-intelligible with another. A Yelmet can yell, a noggin can tap its head, a fiddle can fiddle, and they all use that. They can all, process that information as language to each other. It's remarkable.
They have a huge mouth, a great lung capacity as well. So
Yeah.
then they're just they just naturally want to
They're
yell.
mostly mouth.
Exactly. So they just naturally want to yell.
Yeah, and it's not born out of fright. It's just their specific way of expressing themselves.
Well, there you go. from Rept Gaming. Does Fiddle ever have bad luck?
Does Fiddle ever have bad luck? Does Fiddle ever have bad luck? Hi-ho the Dario. Does Fiddle ever have bad luck?
Okay.
Bad luck comes for us all at
It
some
does.
point. You know,
my
no
gosh.
one can be truly pure. No one can be bestowed with purely good luck. Fiddle is possessed of, I would say, greater than average good luck.
Right,
It's
yeah.
sort of part of the vibe of Cloverspell. You know, there are those fantastical objects on the Cloverspell Island skin, these huge iron pieces that look like they are the shoes for amazing, fantastical
Yes.
beasts, the likes of which we've never seen before. Clip clop, clip clop. But they are imbued with positive good luck vibes as well. You know, they're the pots of special coins at the end of the rainbows on
Right.
on Fairy Island during Cloverspell. So Fiddle, by association with so many positively emanating good luck items, I think a lot of that has rubbed off on Fiddle
Right.
itself, and it's an unusually lucky monster.
Right. Though we do see it like get lost in the trefoil.
That's right.
forest.
There's a good example where your luck runs out eventually.
Yeah, but
then
it did have magic beans,
Right,
too.
but then it had the resourcefulness to
Yes.
devise a solution to its problem.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not just about luck. It's about using one's own inner resources
Intuition.
to try and solve problems. And Fiddle did just that with its magic beans.
Well, there you go.
Magic beans. Is that a clue for one of the fairy tales? Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Oh.
Bah. Or ah. From JJ Dogasaur. Ooh, you hungry?
Who is that? Is that a monster? Yes.
Are Pong Ping's cheeks able to be used for other purposes other than music?
They're excellent at storing treats.
Yes.
Like a
Ooh,
chipmunk.
yeah, like a chipmunk.
Like
yeah.
a chipmunk. Exactly like a
Exactly.
chipmunk. Yes. However, you have to be careful that you don't try and play them at the same time that you're full. If Pong Ping ever forgets and goes, yeah, yeah, it'll rocket out at top
Right.
speed and perhaps might cause an unfortunate mess.
I also know another thing you can use with the cheeks, because when
Yes.
I was playing ping pong with Pong Ping,
Yes.
way back when,
Yep.
they
Past this summer.
past the summer, they had a devastating final move where instead of using their paddles to hit the ball
Play,
back
yeah.
at me,
Yeah.
they turned to their side and like let it hit the cheek and it landed,
Oh
and
my
then
gosh. A cheekal ricochet.
yeah, exactly. So you can use it.
Devastating, as you say.
Yeah, yeah, no.
Devastating.
At the time, it went right over my head, and like my hair was like
Was
on
it
fire a little.
singed?
I was like,
You have to get a haircut, like I had to get a haircut
Yeah.
because of my concerns. Yeah,
exactly.
It happens. It's part of it's like a workplace hazard. You know,
Yes.
your haircut might get ruined.
Exactly, especially if.
But
if
you know what? That's the price you pay for being a monster handler, I think. right?
Exactly,
So-
and like same with when like Kana is visiting the studio.
Yeah.
If they get a nice little handshake, you be like, ow.
Well, and you also have to be very careful, of course, because Kana's feet,
Yes.
as it steps, tend to become sort of molten.
Yes.
So every time Kana visits, we typically have to redo all the flooring in the office.
Yeah, no. The
So
carpet.
it's nice. I mean, it's nice. It's nice.
The
when
carpet
Kana-
people aren't really fond of us, but
It's nice when.
and they're
Kana
always
visits.
asking. They're like, "Why are there burnt footprints into the floor?"
And we
We're
always
like,
say we're very clumsy.
"Yeah, we're very clumsy."
We're very clumsy. Constantly dropping scorching hot bowls of soup on the ground,
Yes.
frying footprint-shaped impressions in the floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question from Croco Boko. Since living ocean water can cause mutations, we talked about this earlier.
We did.
And the spirit constantly drinks from the living ocean. Does this mean that spirit possibly looked much different long ago?
What an interesting theory. Could it at one point looked quite different from the way it does now? Could its current form be a product of just such mutagenic properties in the water? Bah. Bah. No, it's always looked that way.
I mean, yeah, there's literally a statue that looks like
Yeah, so how do you explain that, right?
exactly.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know.
it's getting hot in here.
Yes, Purple Explorer is on the horizon later in anniversary year, so maybe we'll get some questions during
Yeah, maybe we'll answer some questions.
Maybe.
But in the meantime,
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Not I.
Do we have more time for more questions, producer David, or are we going to move on to the creator showcase?
I think we can probably move on.
We're going to move on to the creator showcase. Thanks.
If
for all the
your questions were missed, sorry to cut you off.
Oh, it's okay. It's
okay. Tyson. If you asked a question but it didn't get answered, repost it as a comment.
Yeah.
Ask us on socials because, of course, as part of the quick questions series, Monster Handler Tyson often gathers up
the unanswered stuff.
that doesn't get answered here on the live show, and we publish them as part of a separate series on YouTube.
Yes, exactly.
Organized under our Monster Handler Hijinks
playlist. Where we have multiple series of multiple of the Monster Handlers just getting into hijinks.
Well, and I got to congratulate you, Tyson, on that first deep dive episode that you did. It was extraordinarily well researched.
Thank you.
Lots of great new insights into how the mechanics of interdimensional travel work. Like I said, I'm a little bit concerned now because that information's now in the open about the portal indicating.
Right. And I kind of connected
helmet.
the dots for you when I made it in a nice.
A little bit, and I just have to be careful.
No, for sure.
I don't want to
Listen,
be tripped up or anything.
Everyone has a different preference. It's all good.
Yeah. But I'm sure as I work through these issues, I'll be able to, maybe by the end of the show today, I'll put my hat back on.
Okay, great.
Maybe.
Same way how we've worked with your relationship with Epic Maw.
You got it. Yeah. We went to mediation, like Monster Handler Jen was saying, and things are fine. Things are great.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now is my nemesis.
True, actually. Yeah.
It moved. I got no respite. No rest for the wicked.
Beautiful.
Just from one monster to another. Now is filling my waking nightmares.
4.
Before we move on,
okay,
Monster Handler Tyson, I do want to ask one quick question. Now we're talking about Spirit.
Oh.
What does Spirit say, Monster Handler Tyson?
Oh, huzzah! Sorry.
Is this a TikTok that I'm unfamiliar with?
Actually, no. It's like during the extra live stream, I was saying huzzah a lot, but then every time I hear huzzah, I always hear Fiddle's part
right afterwards,
and it's embedded in my brain. Plus, I think people like when I say huzzah.
That's what being a monster handler is all about.
So they like it when I'm a little more nasally. They like when I'm like, huzzah!
Yes, yeah.
So there you are, everyone. You're welcome.
The things we do for you people.
Yeah, exactly.
You ask, we perform. We're just like your little dancing voodoos over here, aren't we? Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, carry on.
To the Creator Showcase, and today we are looking at the YouTube channel Magical Expansion.
This channel, now I want to make sure the sound is muted?
It is muted.
Okay,
muted.
We're just looking at the visuals
Just
here.
the visual, and so right now we have the 4 trailers that they've made cut together.
And you've cut together, So the one we're looking at right now is the Psychic Citadel official trailer. So we thought that this community undertaking was really, really cool.
So cool. And also so many people involved in the community to make all this happen.
Well, and you know what? You got to recall, of course, that one of our mandates here at Big Blue Bubble is inspiring worlds of creativity. And, My Singing Monsters in the Monster World is one such world, and it's so much fun when we see people wanting to play in that world and mess around like they've done here in this particular one. We're now transitioned to the Fairy Forest official trailer.
And it's cool. They also, they kind of shake things up of what we haven't seen before.
It's inspired the use of Deja Jin's different various crystals to form some sort of cellular device.
Yeah, no, it's so creative.
It's exceptionally so cool.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. It builds upon the lore that we've established in canon. It's very well researched. It's very well animated as well. I dare say it gives some of the stuff that we put together here as Monster Handlers a run for its money, and that's the highest possible praise we can give.
When I saw this stuff for the first time, I legit thought, did we make these?
Yeah.
And just that it was projects or islands we just didn't release.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're into the Bone Badlands.
Badlands.
Now, of course, the subtext, I guess we can see here from all these videos is that there's quite a
wow.
Blackula, what happened?
They took their head off.
Yes. there's an interest and an appetite to see what happens when magical elements hybridize with natural elements and the fire elements that we haven't seen before. Now, as of right now, in the official canon, of course, we only know of the combinations that are that are native to the magical islands.
Right.
That's not to say that in the future there might not be more things going on. We're into the light lunar scape now.
Which Flores is making some sort of space portal device.
This sequence where Flores is in the spaceship reminded me, I don't know if you've ever played the game Broken Age.
I have not.
By Double Fine, but it just the art style I thought was really cool. And that's another thing too about these videos as well, is that like the creators are not afraid to diversify the presentation of their ideas, in the styles of a couple of different artists.
Like that shot's amazing.
Exactly.
I love that,
Even if they're trying to specifically emulate the Monster Handler art style, I think it's almost cooler that these ones look as distinct as they do.
Yeah.
Just because when it's not created by us, we want to see what you make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we love seeing like what people can think of, and also, and again, like there's a lot of people involved in this channel to like make this stuff happen.
And
so
it's creativity top to bottom. It's in the naming as well. It's the Bone Badlands for Fairy Forest, Psychic Citadel,
and also it also makes sense. Like it doesn't like break anything in terms of lore.
It fits. It could fit very comfortably with all that we've created.
For sure. And they capture all the monsters' personalities very well.
Give lesser seen or lesser known monsters a little more to do.
Yes.
Great to see Deja Jin and Franley doing things on Magical Sanctum and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. So congratulations to the team, everybody who's involved there in the magical expansion. We love watching your creativity at play. And we love that you've chosen to use My Singing Monsters as the basis for your creativity.
Also, we didn't really touch upon it. They are also like making whole sounds and new monsters as well.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. That's what I mean, is that like the hybridization there of magical elements, with these resulting in these new monsters. Like that's a whole. You're right. That's a whole prong of the creativity we haven't even gone into.
So if you want to see the songs they've made and the new monsters they've designed and made, go check out the channel.
Head over to their Magical Expansion channel.
Beautiful.
There's our plug.
Nice plug there. All right. I think we can go over to our final remarks that we wanted to talk about at the end.
Yes, it's been sort of a conspicuous omission of why haven't we talked about this yet? It's because we're saving it for the end.
There was a live question written, and I was like, I don't want to say it. Because
Maybe we can sneak it in before we wrap up the show. But of course, today is not only a day for the cold conundrum. It's not only a day for Cloverspell. It's the month of cold, so it's time to take a look at Wave 13 on Amber Island, featuring the Cold Island Quint, and I can finally say the name. It's Tuskski.
Tuskski.
Yes, I know. That one you got to think about, because there's an extra sort of cut in there than you're expecting, right? Tuskski. But I find it's always helpful to think of a certain movie from the late 90s, The Big Tuskski, if you will, which may or may not be referenced a few times in this monster's inaugural description.
Okay.
And of course, it wouldn't be an Amber Island Wave if we didn't bring along a new rare that's evolvable on the island. So the rare Edamame is available for the very first time.
Which is beautiful.
It is. It's a beautiful thing to see. And what I like about rare Edamame is that it ties in as well to a previous fire rare, the rare Barb, in that it undergoes umbra synthesis. You've perhaps heard of photosynthesis, but this is umbra synthesis, where it actually uses the darkness to form nutrients for itself rather than the distillation of light.
So while all the other monsters are sleeping at night, rare Edamame is
going hog. That's right. Absorbing all the darkness that it can. But you know what? This darkness, touches more than just its appearance. It's also in its attitude as well, right? It's known as the gloomy bloom, the gloomy blooms. and you know they've got kind of like a cynical attitude. They're kind of dour.
Right.
Right. Excellent dancers though.
Yes,
Excellent
they are. Yes,
dancers.
they are. So do you think you'll find a lot of rare enemies behind like Tuskegee and
That's a good question.
Bowheads because they're bigger?
Yes, Tuskegee casts such a big shadow. You know, it's among the larger monsters. I know people are always asking us about like the size of monsters, but Tuskegee is definitely up there among the largest. Largest, of course, its mammoth-like appearance is perfectly aligned with the fact that it is this gigantic monster.
Like little mini mountains on its back.
That's right. It's got those little miniature pines that it uses to set up in special configurations and do 10 pine bowling.
Whoa!
I don't know if you knew that. There's another reference to the movie from the 90s. It's beautiful. I love the way this one came together.
Beautiful.
Yes.
I remember the 90s.
Minute that you were there, were you even there?
Nope.
You were never there?
Born in 2000.
I don't want to hear that.
Okay.
That's so upsetting.
Sorry.
But that's okay. But that's okay. You know what? Fresh blood on the monster handler. You know what? That's what monster handling as a discipline is all about. You want the next generation. You want new students, new disciples, new pupils. So actually, you know what? I take it all back. I love the fact that you've never seen the 90s.
And I love the fact that you've seen the 90s.
But the 90s were, I was there for all of it, baby. Yes, the 90s were great. But never mind that. Wave 13, and of course we would be remiss if we didn't include both Pongping and Incisor, which were your picks for part of the Amber rerun promotion. Now, something that I don't know if we've noted before, but of course I'm going to note now, is the fact that of the monsters that are chosen to be eligible for the rare rerun, they've all had something in common. I might have mentioned this before. Monster Handler Matt's getting old. I have no idea.
Well, yeah, he's seen all the 90s.
I've seen all of the 90s. But they've all had something in common. What do they have in common, Monster Handler Tyson? They all share the element of that celestial month's alignment. So, for example, all the ones that you could choose from for this most recent rerun, Boskus, Wink, Pongping, and Sizor, they all have the element of cold. And of course, this is continuing the trend this year that we promised we would adhere to as part of these final waves of Amber Island, that during the month of cold, you were going to get the cold quint, Tuskegee.
Yes.
Now,
okay,
it was mentioned in the update text for version 3.8.4, which, by the way, you need to enjoy all of the stuff that we're looking at today. Where was I going with this? Who knows? That this is the penultimate Amber Island wave. Penultimate, for those of you who don't know the word. The second to last. Second to last. That means, can you believe it? We just have one more Amber Island wave to go.
It's been a real journey.
I know.
Wow.
And some of you might be panicking, going, well, wait a minute, what does that mean? You're not going to be done all the rares, you're not going to be done all the epics in that time. No, we're not. But we're talking about the base common forms of monsters that are going to be added to Amber Island.
Yes.
And of course, you know, Wave 14, the final Wave 14 of Amber Island is going to be coming at some point next month. When next month, I couldn't possibly say. But that's the month of plant, if I'm not mistaken. That's when Growing Green will be in the sky. And Growing Green, you know, that seems like it could align pretty well with another certain event that's going up. But speaking of special events,
let's put a pin in that one.
Yeah, we'll get back to it later, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But speaking of special events, there was mention right at the end of the update text that the warmth of Summer Song seemed just around the corner. And as part of our new and improved My Sing Monsters Live, we always want to give you guys a sneak peek at what's coming in the future. And so starting next week, we have a mini event, a special event happening inside Cloverspell. This is going to be our summer getaway event. Summer getaway event. And what this is going to consist of is Summer Song themed stuff. Summer Song themed decorations.
Beautiful.
Summer Song themed costumes.
What?
And maybe something as part of a series that you can potentially anticipate what it could be that you know is coming, but that is coming a little bit earlier than you normally would have expected it to arrive. What have we been releasing alongside seasonal events? Don't answer, Tyson, but just think.
I was about to.
I didn't want you to say it. But what have we been releasing? What have been coming along with each of these seasonal events after version 3.8?
Right.
Scratch that beard of yours and think about it for
They
a
can't
moment.
see me doing it, but I'm doing it.
But
I
he's,
swear.
well, there you
I am.
go. He's doing it. But yes, we wanted to give you a sneak peek at our summer getaway special event that's happening next week. Now, right off the bat, before anyone gets too excited, no, this is not an out-of-season special for Hula.
No.
And the only reason that it's not is that Hula made a surprise appearance during, of course, the Season of Love
Yes.
in time to get totally hoodwinked by at the end of Season of Love 2023.
Yeah.
So, you know, summer getaway, there's going to be lots of exciting summer-themed things for you to collect, but Hula, at this point, you know, had an out-of-season special in January. It had that brief moment to shine during Season of Love. At this point, you're going to have to put on your waiting shoes. You know, your waiting shoes? You know those things that you wear? Your waiting shoes?
When you're waiting? Yeah.
And Hula will be back for Summer Song 2023. The 10th ever Summer Song.
Buckle up, everybody.
Yes.
Okay. Was there anything?
What was that
else?
question?
Oh
What was
yeah, that question.
you were
That's
gonna
one
ask about
question. I
Tusks?
didn't want to say it because I didn't want to
No,
respond.
go for it.
I've seen. Oh, this is from Looney U3U. I've seen similarities between Tusky and Gajoob, and this makes me wonder: does Tusky have any familiarity with Gajoob? The document keeps moving. Is there a reason for these similarities?
Well, they both have tusks.
They do.
It's true. But much like pinnipeds and pachyderms, pachyderm, I believe, is actually an out-of-date phylogenetic classification. I think it used to be what elephants belong to.
Of course.
But they've reorganized it. I try and keep up on my human world biology as well,
Right.
as much as I can.
And I soak it up when you bring it up.
And you listen attentively, and I'm very
I'm just
appreciative
like-
of that. But in the same way that walruses and elephants in the monster world, in the human world, they're not in the monster world, are I believe distantly related. I mean, like they're mammals, but I don't know how closely related they are.
I think walruses are more related to like whales and stuff. Maybe I could be wrong.
Yeah, they could be. Well,
I could be very wrong.
You know what?
Don't fact check.
We'll have to. Yeah, don't listen.
Don't fact check.
Certainly don't cite it at an academic conference.
Yeah.
We'll have to double check. But I mean, it's an interesting and astute observation.
I was thinking of hippos.
You know,
Sorry.
between Tuskegee and Gajoo. Off the top of my head, the fact that they are in different, classes is always a cause for.
Oh, your mic? What's going on with your mic? Oh.
Am I dead?
I think your mic is dead.
Okay.
Mic
My
is
mic
dead.
is dead. So Tyson, lean forward.
Yeah.
Just lean forward, and we'll finish this way.
Here, we'll do
I'll
this.
cast it off.
Sorry, everyone. There we go. Oh no.
Oh well.
Everything's falling apart.
Anyway, here I'll just try and try and project.
Hey,
Here we go. So just for the end of the show here, because we're almost done here. It's an astute observation, that there might be some similarities. The fact that they belong to different classes sometimes is our initial are they related?
Right.
But that hasn't stopped families from forming across
That is
different
true.
classes before, right? G'day and Gajoob are different classes. Different members of the Gaskin are part of different classes.
True.
The armor clade that you debuted come from different classes.
Yes,
So
yes.
it could well be that they're related. There does seem to be a certain similar vibe to them. There does seem to be a certain similar vibe to just their dispositions and the fact that, Gajoob, a real smooth operator, very chill, very cool, kind of dude-like, if you will. And Tuskegee, same sort of vibe, just wants to keep it chill, very low impact, just wants everybody to get along. Kind of thing. So certainly in lifestyle, I would say that they have a lot
Now,
in common.
there isn't a G in front of
Tuskegee.
though.
That would
It's
be
not
that would be
Tuskegee.
particularly cruel because then,
Yeah.
in terms of pronunciation, the Gatuskegee is a
Gatusk-
very difficult thing to say.
It is.
Maybe not as bad as Perplexplore, But
There's
but
some questionable words.
there's
out there.
you know what we want to keep your minds and mouths sharp. So yes, so it's a very interesting another thing that perhaps would merit further discussion and further research.
Exactly.
We'll get that research grant to see what Tuskegee where it falls.
But you have to fund it.
We're coming to the end of our episode of My Singing Monsters live today. Like we said in our previous episode, we're doing things a little differently in My Singing Monsters live land recently. First of all, we hope you enjoyed this brand new time slot.
Yes.
It's 5 p.m. local time where we are, but hopefully this works a little bit better for certain people. Maybe it's not as good for others, but send us feedback. Let us know if you liked this time.
We
if it
will
works
always
for you.
we will always look at your feedback. We will always try to improve the show as much as possible.
And another thing, of course, as well, is that we don't have a set schedule for My Singing Monsters Live anymore. Previously, we were doing like the last Thursday of the month. Now we're trying to align them with major releases like today's version 3.8.4, Cold Island Conundrum, Wave 13, Cloverspell, all of these exciting things. So this is the episode for March.
Yes.
For My Singing Monsters Live. There will be an April one, and we'll give you lots of advance notice about when that's taking place.
Yes.
But of course, that's not the only exciting thing that'll be happening this month. I'm sure there will be something else coming a little bit later. A certain cause for hoppy celebration, maybe. and I don't want to tease anyone and say that I wasn't going to wear my hat when I said that I would. So
Okay.
there you go.
There it is. He did it.
There you go.
Yeah, and let's get a nice little picture with us, back to back or something.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'll be great for
Everyone
the
take
thumbnail.
screenshots.
We'll
There you go. You're
we'll use
welcome.
that for the thumbnail.
There you go.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of My Singing Monsters Live. Please enjoy Cloverspell. Get those Amber Island Wave 13 monsters.
Yes.
Keep an eye out for other exciting updates later this month in the monster world. Check out Summer Getaway next week, which will be available for everyone starting on Monday.
Yes.
And stay tuned. We've always got exciting stuff for you to check out
And
here.
have a nice night.
And just have a wonderful day. And as we always say, Happy Monsters!